And now it's time for your news break with Logan, aka Knight 645.
What's up, everybody? KOTOR game might be in the works. Who knows? Atari is making a gaming hotel. Gaming hotel, everybody. That's crazy. We'll talk about that more later. And we will also discuss the best free games right now. You don't want to spend money? Don't worry about it. We got you.
That's been your news break with Logan, aka Knights 645.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello and welcome to a Horrible Gaming Podcast. I think we're up to episode 27 now. It just keeps on going, even though it probably should have died a long time ago. With me, as always, is
Knight 645, aka Logan.
And before we get into the horribleness that is this podcast, we've got some disclaimers. Number one, as of right now, we don't do this professionally, so you're definitely going to hear my kids scream in the background. I can't do anything about that, so enjoy. Number two, I'd like to just go ahead and throw out some credits for some people we'd like to recognize for today's show. Number one, Mark Bell, thank you for all the graphics, the original graphics he does for this and all the shows on the channel. And then, of course, thank you to my brother who wrote and performed the theme song you just listen to. Okay, hello. So first, we like to start the show with fan interaction. This is where we read you guys' comments. We also ask you guys questions, and it will now be the section in which we decide the Horrible Arena winners. So let's get into the comments. First, let's just go ahead and do the Horrible Arena, get it out of the way so we can just track that right off the bat. So we got a couple of votes. Let me find each one of them. Philbilly330, resident Borderlands expert, decided to comment as well, where he says, let me find it, as far as the created games, and remember it was Project Blacktop, my game, which was an open world Mad Max post-apocalyptic type game created by Playground Games. And then it was versus Neil's game, which was open world, but it was made by Bethesda, and it was kind of it's hard to explain in just one sentence. I don't want to do him injustice, but it was kind of almost like a mental health sort of game where as you play, you create your own kind of personal demons and create your own places in your own head, and that was Project Headspace. So Philbilly330 says, as far as the created games, I have to go with Blacktop. Sorry, Neil. I love both cars and guns in real life and farming in video games, so it's kind of up my alley. Headspace sounds cool, but I'd be afraid it would show me how effed my brain is, and I'd worry I would have to play, or playing would cause me to be under the influence of some sort of opioid or hallucinogen, and I don't want that kind of habit. Laugh out loud. So that was his pick. Then Kyla Simpson, or Kyla S, commented, gotta find. I also want to say, she is also Neil's wife. I also want to say I try hard not to side with Neil on things just because it's funny. But I have to say I'd pick Headspace over Project Blacktop. I'm not into driving games personally, and driving in any game infuriates me. Ha ha ha. Plus, being someone super into mental health and therapy, I could totally see Headspace being a game even used as a therapy method to help express emotions. So those were the main votes on the game. However, I got a message from, I don't want to say anonymous because that would just look like I'm doing it for myself. But so it was Kev Too Tall, actually anonymously didn't anonymously, but he messaged me about it. And he said, let me find his little thing. He said that my game wins. It was less of a game. His game was less of a game and more of a visual diary. So while I don't know if I agree with the decision that mine wins, mine is the winner of the first Horrible Arena. So I will take all your applause now. And I look to thoroughly stomp Logan in today's Horrible Arena. Thoroughly. It's going to be very being late. I'm calling you out on the show, you son of a bitch. Jesus Christ. Okay.
It's gonna be a massacre. Trust.
I got a good one. I
got a good one too. Don't worry about it.
This is gonna be good. Okay, so for other fan posts, I want to read out. And remember the question last week, and this question got a lot of people asking it, was best licensed song use in a game. So best non-soundtrack song game. Neil said "Girl on Fire" from Alicia Keys at the end of Borderlands 3, or "Blow Me Away" from Baking Benjamin during Halo 2 campaign. Philbilly also said, and I just want to say, I wrote down on a piece of paper after Neil asked this question last week what Philbilly's answer was going to be, and I was 100% correct. And his was is by far the best licensed song in a game. "Ain't No Rest for the Wicked" by Cage the Elephant. Used as the Borderlands 1 theme, which I 100% wrote that down on a piece of paper and was all the way right on that. Kev Too Tall had a big comment on this. Licensed song, actually, I have to cheat on this one. I'm picking a game series because it has several songs in it. History I don't want to choose from. That series is Twisted Metal. He lists a couple. Can't Drive 55 by Sammy Hagar, More Human Than Human by White Zombie, Riding on the Wind by Judas Priest. There was a lot of good ones in that one. And then he said if he had to play by the rules and pick one, he would pick Mad World for Gears of War. And then also, just on a side note, he commented, Arma 3 and Sins are both PC games. Arma 3 is a tactical shooter with lots of mods that made it a lot of fun. Arma 2 was a game that spawned DayZ first as a mod before it became a standalone game. Sins is a space-based RTS in the vein of Command & Conquer. He was just referring to the games that he's played most was the question last week, and he listed a bunch of games neither me nor Neil had ever heard of. So he was just getting back to us on what that was. So
well, Zach, since I did not get to answer this fan interaction, my answer: Shepherds of Fire, Black Ops 2, the Zombies map Origins. It is the intro to that map, and if nobody has seen that intro, even if you don't like Black Ops or Call of Duty at all, just go watch the intro to that map. It is just the four main characters going guns a-blazing, killing a bunch of zombies with that song playing on in the background. And me and Ash still jam out to that song to this day. Fantastic.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I had a hard choice for me because I was gonna straight up pick these two ones that were like opening credit ones, but I felt like the way he asked the question was like best use of a licensed song in a game, and I felt like opening credits and ending credits aren't necessarily the best use of it. But I'm gonna say the ones that we're gonna pick, and then the one I'm gonna pick because of how I interpreted it. So the first one I was gonna pick was "Long Goodbye" by Max Payne 2 at the very end. A game close to my heart. Check it out. And I love that song. And then "Shortchanged Hero," which is the opening thing of Borderlands 2, because that song made me check out that band, and now that band is my favorite band, and I own every one of their albums. I'd never heard of him before that, and then after that, now I own every album the minute it comes out because I love that band so much. And then finally, the best use in an actual game, in my opinion, is actually the one that Neil said, "Blow Me Away" by Breaking Benjamin in the Halo 2 campaign. And I'm sorry, when you go into that room and you realize it's a trap and... Hi, kiddo. Yeah, okay. When you drop into the room and there's just those things drop in after you, and then it just kicks into that. And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's just the most badass. And I know that they didn't, like, there's a version where the lyrics are in, and then there's a version where there's no lyrics. Doesn't matter. Either one. You immediately get a Woody. Like your dick immediately gets hard. Like, it's 100% like a murder boner right off the bat when you hear that song, because you reload your rifle and you're just like, I'm gonna murder everybody in this room. Like, they're in here with me, not the other way around.
Your eyes catch on fire and everything.
Yeah. Like, I still get chills just thinking about that scene. Like, that was easily far and away the best, like, in my opinion, Halo moment, like, of all time. Like, it's just the best for playing. It
goes hard.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's the fan interaction. I do have a question I want to ask on the heels of Neil's question last week. I feel like we should take it one step further. I want to know everybody's favorite soundtrack. Not licensed game, but your favorite soundtrack to a game. What game has the best soundtrack? And there's a lot of games out there. I mean, we could go all the way back to Mega Man and Sonic. Those got some toe tappers. Or new stuff, we got like Destiny and Halo. I want to know what your favorite soundtrack is next week. That's what I want to know. All right, so our first subject of the day. We weren't actually going to lead the show off with this. I'm pulling an audible, Logan.
Okay.
And I'm picking this because Phil Spencer just said some kind of crazy stuff. And we all know he's my messiah. And I don't know if I agree with what he said. So I want to definitely discuss this with you and discuss it on the podcast as soon as it came out. So
let's hear about it.
Okay, so here's the quote. Okay, so I'm crediting IGN for this story. They released it. Basically, Phil Spencer made some comments about how he does not consider Nintendo and Sony their biggest competitors anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So this is his quote. This is what he said. I don't want to be in a fight over format wars with, parentheses, Nintendo and Sony, while Amazon and Google are focusing on how to get gaming to 7 billion people around the world. Ultimately, that's the goal. Sorry for the belch. He goes on to say, cloud infrastructure is $1 million industry led by companies like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. Although cloud technology is used for a variety of different services, like web hosting, the technology has been incorporated into games as well. Google Stadia uses Google's cloud technology to stream games to homes, as does Xbox's Project X Cloud with Azure. In 2019, Microsoft and Sony announced a joint agreement that would allow the two companies to work together on developing future cloud solutions in Microsoft Azure to support their respective game and in-content streaming services. So this agreement, this isn't the end of the quote. So he goes on to say, that's not to disrespect Nintendo and Sony, but traditional game companies are somewhat out of position, says Spencer. I guess they could try to recreate Azure, but we've invested tens of billions of dollars in cloud over the years. So to kind of put this a little bit further into layman's terms, you have Google Stadia, you have NVIDIA Next Gen, and whatever Amazon's developing, which is streaming games from the cloud service, not physical games. You also have Project X Cloud through Microsoft. Project X Cloud runs on Azure, which is Microsoft's streaming service, streaming technology. Now, this is actually true. Microsoft, basically Sony and Nintendo are kind of licensing Microsoft to use the Azure program. Okay. So while Sony and Nintendo are making their own games, the whole idea is if they're going to go to a streaming service like Project X Cloud, like Stadia, when they start doing that, they're going to be using Microsoft's proprietary technology. So basically what he's saying is, hey, I mean, they're making games and everything, but they've got to use our streaming services, and streaming is where it is. So our actual competitors are Google and Amazon. That's what he's saying here. I want to hear your thoughts before I say anything.
Okay. If he's referring to streaming services as in like Mixer and Twitch, is that where he's going with that?
He's talking about game streaming. He's talking about like Project X. Like that's what he's talking about. He's talking about Google Stadia, that kind of service. Like not owning the physical copy, not even having the digital copy, playing on the cloud.
Okay. So he wasn't referencing like streaming in general. Okay.
No, not streaming in general. He's basically saying like, Sony and Nintendo. I guess the way he's looking at it is Sony and Nintendo aren't our real competitors anymore because they have to use our streaming to stream their games. Unless they develop it all by themselves, they have no infrastructure for that. So we've got that. Like that's us. So like when Sony and Nintendo start streaming games from a cloud, because that's where things are going, they'll be doing it through Microsoft. So in the way he's looking at it is like, we won because they have to use our service now. Like that's it. But to him, the competitor are the people who don't have to use that service: Stadia, Nvidia, Amazon.
Okay. So all three of those are buns. Okay, they're not competitors. I don't think, even to this point. Like maybe in the future sometime, but if we're talking about right now, yeah, those aren't competitors.
Right.
And I can agree they're in a really good spot with how they set up, but you can't be talking about some people that aren't even being talked about as competitors.
Right.
Like you mentioned Stadia. Your words kind of go out the window.
Yeah, Stadia is not even a thing anymore. Oh, we talked about it on the show last week. They're actually giving Stadia away with subscription to Verizon Fios. Like they're actually giving them away now. So like,
we will pay you to take this.
Right. So it's kind of like, how long is Google going to keep it around? Because Google's a very like, if it's not making money, we're done with it sort of situation. Yeah. I think I like Phil Spencer. I've always talked good about Phil Spencer. I love every choice he's made since he's come to Xbox. With all that said, I'm objective when it comes to podcasts, and I think this is farsighted. Like I think yes, we're going streaming. Unfortunately, that's where the industry is going to end up eventually. But to write off Sony and Nintendo, who are consistently outselling you, before I don't think that's the way to go. And like I said, this has always been his strategy. I've been saying that. I think you can back me up that I've been saying that since this podcast started. It's always been his strategy to slowly take market shares away from those companies from within by putting his services on those systems until those systems basically pay him to exist, and that's what he's doing with this. And that's great. I'm not saying that's not great, but nobody, like, cloud-based gaming is not a thing right now. It will be a thing, but it's not a thing right now, to the point where Stadia is failing. And to list Google Stadia as your biggest competitor when I don't even think Google Stadia is going to be around in 2022, and Amazon, which hasn't even brought out a service. What's even worse is, in his quote, he doesn't actually bring up the NVIDIA system that just came out, which is way better than Google, is having way more success than Google, and is cheaper than Google.
Yeah, it just seems like a really cocky response. It seems like a not well thought out.
I think this is the first time, in my opinion, he's really put his foot in his mouth, because I don't agree with the fact that they're using your software. You've won. I mean, PlayStation 4 is still the most sold system, since PlayStation 2. It outsold all the Xboxes like 2-1. And I don't want to say that because I like the Xbox better. I like the Xbox services better, but you also have all this untested stuff coming out. Like, we're all excited about it. You got a new system. He's got a new way of looking at systems with how everything's backwards compatible. And he's got a ton of studios about to release games, but all of them are untested. We haven't seen them, you know, and you're coming out of a generation where on the page you lost. I've said repeatedly, I don't think that he lost overall. I think he actually kind of won because of stuff like Azure. But on the numbers, Sony outsold you 10-1 everywhere. So, like, to come out of that and then say they're not a threat, we're worried about Google Stadia, who nobody cares about. Nobody in their right mind is playing Google Stadia. Like, they just aren't.
Yeah, if I didn't do a podcast about gaming, I probably wouldn't even know what Google Stadia is to this point. They're non-existent.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this was a really short-sighted, almost silly way to look at things. And like I kind of understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, I think maybe saying it out loud is a little bit early, you know?
It sounds like when somebody tries to 1v1 me, and I'm just like, I'll wreck you, bro.
Yeah. Or even
really
like he's like saying up front, like it's almost like he's like, well, I'm saying I won, and that means I won. Like, even if he didn't win, you know, like you could say you won all day long, but so far you haven't won. Like, you're about to win. I think you're definitely in a position to win. But you can't just decide that this isn't chess. You can't say checkmate before actually taking the king. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So I don't know. I'm really nervous about that. I really wanted to talk about it at the front of the show, especially since I know anybody who's listened to the show a very long time is surprised that I would ever say anything bad about Phil Spencer.
True.
I love Phil Spencer. What he's done for Xbox is wonderful, but like, this was not the way to go. This just wasn't.
That's right, Phil. What are you doing?
What are you doing? All right. Okay, so that brings us to our mid-show segment, With My Last Breath. This is a segment all about me ranting, and that's why I like it. Basically, what's going to happen is Neil picks a topic. I get to rant about it for 60 seconds. Then he's going to give me a letter grade, which I've been keeping track of my letter grade over the course of all of the shows we've been doing this. So, Neil, man, why do I keep calling you Neil? I'm sorry, man. You guys switching back and forth is fucking me up.
I was just going to let it go the first time. All right.
Yeah, no, it's just because we've had to switch back and forth so much that,
exactly.
like, I think I called him Logan like 3 times in the last episode. I don't know why. Okay, so Logan, what's my topic?
Your topic is how Jedis make Battlefront 2 better.
Oh, fucking shit. I might just forfeit this one. Okay, let me think about this for a second. All right, I'm really gonna have to go against all of my internal instincts on this one. Every one of them. I gotta turn off the safeties in my brain. Okay, are you ready to keep track of the time for me?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'll give you a countdown when you're ready.
Give me a countdown whenever. Yeah, give me a countdown whenever.
3, 2, 1, go.
Nobody watches Star Wars for the blasters. Nobody watches Star Wars for the starship fighting. Nobody watches Star Wars for that shit. They want to know the Jedis. They want to play the Jedis. You cannot have Battlefront without the Jedis, because without the Jedis, nobody would play it. You have to be able to spawn in there, and you have to be able to use those kick-ass force powers, moving stuff back and forth with your mind. Darth Maul with his dual-bladed lightsaber flipping around. Like, not only on that front, but what Battlefront did too is actually put some kind of like interesting mechanics to the Jedi fighting instead of just like whoever gets their lightsaber on the person first. So when you spawn in as a Jedi, most likely the other team has a spawn Jedi, and you can actually have these really good Force lightsaber duels in the game, which you wouldn't expect from something like that, some kind of multiplayer where you shoot back and forth a lot. You wouldn't expect it to also have probably the best lightsaber dueling in a game to date.
And you're done.
That hurts so much.
Let's
I hate
go.
the Jedis. I hate the Jedis in Battlefront 2. The worst part of it, I like the blasters, and I like the gunfighting. I better get a good score off that because I worked hard to say that one.
You definitely got a good score just because you brought up Maul. Oh my god!
I know he's the stupidest one too. He's the dumbest one with the stupidest lightsaber. If you had a lightsaber like that, it would take you 5 seconds to cut yourself in half by accident. Oh.
That was by far the best part when you said Maul. He's like, Maul is so good. You know?
I was like, I'm doing all the ones. I'm gonna really take everything that I hate about this game and say why it's good.
It was so good. It was so good. I'm giving. Are we ready for a grade?
I'm ready for a grade. It better be good. I worked hard for that shit.
Yeah, you get an A. You get an A for that one.
Yeah, A plus or minus.
A. Period.
Period. Okay. All right. A. That's great. I'll take it. I'll take the A. That's my highest score to date.
You deserve that one. I was definitely an asshole for that one.
I will say this.
Any other topic.
I was really happy when my brain hit on the lightsaber dueling because I was like, this is actually one of the best parts about that game is the lightsaber dueling mechanic is probably the best in any game, and it's not really made for that.
It definitely is.
That game is not really made. Like, you wouldn't look at that game and be like, the lightsaber dueling's great in here. But the lightsaber dueling in that game is 100% the best lightsaber dueling in any game I've played. I mean, maybe not Fallen Order. No, sorry for the belches, guys. Maybe not Fallen Order, but I haven't played Fallen Order yet. So,
but Fallen Order has like a Dark Souls type of feel to it, though.
Right,
but I mean, it's stamina a lot.
It's also made for that's what it's made to do.
Exactly.
Whereas you wouldn't expect Battlefront to have such a good lightsaber dueling modes. And honestly, I've watched a couple of captures that Ash has taken while you guys have been like just playing that dueling heroes mode. Yeah. And I would never play that mode because I hate Jedis, but just watching you guys do it was like, it was interesting to watch. So that's something in itself, honestly. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next topic we have, and this was actually going to be the topic that led the show until Phil Spencer's kind of weird comments this morning. But the rumor mill is at it. They are really building up that there could be a Knights of the Old Republic either remake or a sequel somewhere in the works. There's been a lot of like evidence pointing to the fact that this is going to happen. So Logan.
Yes.
I gotta ask, because you're a super young dude. Have you ever played Knights of the Old Republic?
No.
No, I didn't think so. I mean, that's an OG Xbox one. I think you can get it backwards compatibility now. I think you can buy it like digitally through backwards compatibility. But okay, so Knights of the Old Republic was a precursor to Mass Effect. Okay, it was before it, but it was done by BioWare, and it's one of like BioWare's big successes. It's also one of the first games that had a Paragon/Renegade's morality system, and it was kind of like Mass Effect or Dragon Age in how it played. Although it was almost more of a turn-based role-playing game sort of thing. I actually didn't play it that much because Star Wars is not my favorite thing in the world, but a lot of people very excited about this game, so I figured we should talk about it. What would you want to see out of a Knights of the Old Republic game if they released it? I mean, right now we don't have any good Star Wars games out there other than Jedi Fallen Order and Battlefront. So, like the original game was a role player. I mean, what do you think it should stay a role player?
Well, if they're just bringing it back, then yeah, it should stay true to its original. And also with Battlefront and the Fallen Order being out, like other places have really already been filled.
Yeah.
If you want just that run and gun type of style, Battlefront's already here. And
Right.
if you want that like strategic Dark Souls type of feel, you already got Fallen Order.
Right.
So
It's true.
if they tried to jump into those places, which those are both really good games, so I feel like if it tried to jump into one of those, it would just fall short. And it would be fighting an uphill battle. That's for sure.
I think we really need a Star Wars role-playing game. I actually think that the genre lends itself to role-playing game mechanics so easily, and yet we don't really have anything. We haven't had anything since Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2. That's it. There is a lingering question, though, on this rumor mill, because this was a BioWare game. Hands down a BioWare game.
Yep.
So who could possibly be making this game at this point? I mean, you've got to remember that EA makes all the Star Wars games.
Yeah, they do. And I really don't know. So BioWare is not working on it again, right?
Well, here's the thing. I don't see how they could physically be possibly working on it. They have a 2-team setup at BioWare. One team is working on Anthem, and the other team is working on Dragon's Age. The other team is working on Dragon's Age. Unless they've like split it off or whatever, but all the rumors coming from BioWare is that they're putting all their assets into making Anthem better. So, I mean, I don't know how BioWare makes this. And the only other companies you're looking at, you got Respawn, might be making it. Vince Lampella just moved in and took over DICE. But the real question to me is who could possibly be making it at EA. And I don't know of any studio that isn't working on something already.
Yeah, and EA, I gotta think that they're already working on Battlefront 3. They gotta be starting Battlefront 3 by now, especially with the new consoles coming out.
Right.
Oh yeah,
right.
everybody's basically working on that new game, and with how well Battlefront 2 did, EA would just be a bunch of idiots if they didn't just jump on the Battlefront 3 bandwagon.
Right. Well, and I don't understand why we don't have more Star Wars games. They've had this license forever, and like they've still.
And all of them usually do well.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind also a games as service in Star Wars. If you gave me like a Destiny but with Star Wars, I know a lot of people are mad that I just said that, but I would actually be excited about that. I think that would be really fun, really cool. To make your own character and just do it that way. You're laughing. I don't know why you're laughing at that. You play Destiny.
No. I'm only laughing because we need to get to our final topic so that I can drop the best game ever.
The Horrible Arena? I don't think you're going to beat mine. If everybody out there is hearing weird music every so often, it's because my wife keeps trying to call me, even though I warned her that we were doing a podcast today. So, yeah, sorry about that. Okay.
Good music.
So let's let me ask you about this then.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought. Just lost it right out the window. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm battling.
Oh, that's a weird question.
Battling exhaustion. And tiredness. It's not fun. All right. There was something else I wanted to ask you about this topic, and I just lost it. This is why it's a horrible podcast, everyone. This is what we're really dealing with is this kind of professionalism.
So Zach, I got a question to ask you.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware or not, but Anthem is now free for PC. They are trying to get it to people to get it for free on PC.
Okay.
They're sending out emails constantly for people that have bought it on other systems. Okay. I know that I bought it on my Xbox, and now on my computer, I've gotten 3 messages already. So they are sending people messages to get their free anthem, and it's all over Steam.
I did not know this. I'm kind of surprised I didn't know about this because I tend to watch the Anthem news just because I still hold hope somewhere in my dark heart.
Don't we all?
This probably isn't the popular response, but I think that game should have gone free to play a year ago. The fact that when I had to go buy it again, I had to buy it is kind of insulting. I think the game needs to go the way of Destiny 2 right now, and I think that would go a long way to putting people back onto the Anthem train.
I fully agree.
Like, I mean, I know anybody who spent money on it would be pissed, but anybody who spent money on Destiny 2 was pissed. You know, I think what you do is you release it free. I personally think that they should wait until they have that overhaul they keep talking about ready, but I think they should go, okay, we've overhauled it. It's free. But every so often we're going to charge you for new content, kind of how Destiny 2 does it. And that's great. That's how they should do it because they've lost their player base. They've lost a lot of their player base. And I want the game to be good, but it's not. I keep going back to it. Like maybe today's the day. And it's just not. I have 4 javelins, all legendary rank, man. That's how much I played this game, and it's still not a good game. So yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a good call. I don't know if that was the response you were expecting, but I think they need to do that. Okay, all right. Okay, so our final topic before we get to the much anticipated Horrible Arena is Atari. I don't expect this is going to be a long topic, but Atari has announced they are making hotels. These hotels are gamer-forward hotels that will cater to gamer lifestyle. This includes all sorts of things, high Wi-Fi amounts. They said, older men's speakeasies, whatever the hell that means. And then that they will also cater to Major League Gaming events is what they are going for on the other side. What do you think about this, man?
Okay, I got 2 things. Number 1, good for them. Good for them. Like there's so many people out there that are just like, we're not gonna change. We're a hotel. And these guys are like, we're moving forward. We got a business over here. This is just a giant untapped area that nobody else is going for, and they just did it. That's awesome. And number 2, this is great. I can go on vacation and go and stop at a gamer hotel instead of a normal hotel with like a pool that has way too much chlorine in it. No, I get to go to a gamer hotel to game with other gamers. That's a party as it is.
You know, honestly, it sounds really cool. I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing after my first thought, though, and my first thought was Atari? As in, who in 2020 is like, man, I want to go to an Atari-themed hotel.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird that it's Atari doing it, and good for Atari, but like, I think people would be more excited if it was like a PlayStation or an Xbox hotel, but
Yep.
Or even a Nintendo hotel. Who wouldn't want to go to a Nintendo hotel? Although I would be afraid it would be too kid friendly.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool. I think it's cool, but at the same time, I'm wondering why Atari is doing this in 2020. I think it's kind of strange, in my opinion.
Imagine how hype it would be to just have like the entire lobby full of a bunch of people watching like a game of Smash Bros.
Oh,
everybody's just voting for their one side, getting hype.
Yeah,
that would be so cool.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool. And if the hotel was local, which it won't be to either one of us because we live in crap states.
Yeah, true.
But if it was local to, what's up, kiddo? Yeah, they're dice. You can play with them. No understanding of shows yet. Sorry, everyone. But what is cool, if it was local, you know that they're going to be hosting local tournaments all the time and stuff. That would be very, very, very nifty. that brings us to the new final segment of the show, circa a tiny wizard. We're doing this now, regardless of the host. It is called the Horrible Arena. Here's what it is. The hosts, whoever they may be, and I've also said if you guys can't make it, you can write in pitches. Just so you know, so everybody gets a chance if they want to. Pitch a game. You must pitch the publisher to create the game, and you must pitch the game itself based on a topic or subject. We both pitch those games to you guys, the listeners, and then you guys comment either here or Facebook or just telling me in person or on Messenger or however you want to get it to me, which game you'd spend your money on, and then we announce a winner the week after. Friendly competition all the way. With the exception of this week, I'm going to absolutely ruin my co-host. But Logan has elected. Logan won the Quantum Studio coin toss, so he has elected to go first. So Logan, what's your project? You got to have a project name. You got to have a developer, and then give us the elevator pitch.
Well, as I walk out in this amazing battle armor on my flaming lion, because that's what the arena is all about,
What is that?
I'm going to hit you with Bethesda
He's 20 guns?
teams up with EA to drop the new Star Wars game. Okay?
Okay, all right. You got me so far.
Bounty Hunters. That's what the name of the game is called. And it is a open world. Okay, to summarize this, Skyrim, but bounty hunters. You can get your bounties. You go out. You can get new weapons, new armor. You can make different types. You can be different species. And you can go to different worlds to hunt people down, to collect that bounty, get better loot, continue the loot cycle. You can mess with your ship. You can fly your ship and fight in space. You can live your life as a bounty hunter the way that you want to live it. As a Mandalorian, all honorable, or as a lizard like Bosk,
Nice.
living off others. Your move.
Logan, first of all, before I go into mine, I think that's a really awesome pitch. And just to say how much of one mind we can be, I almost pitched the exact same game. Company would have been different, but I almost pitched like literally the exact same game. So
I mixed
I'm
it
glad
with,
I didn't.
But okay, because I want Bethesda in it because they make a great open world.
They do.
But at the same time, EA, I gotta say, I added in EA because it's a questionable on like their microtransactions, but they have been able to make very successful Star Wars games in the past. So I think teaming them up would make an excellent game.
I want to say one other thing, Logan. Sometimes people, those people being me, accuse you of not doing your homework for the show and just kind of showing up and pulling stuff out of your butt. You really worked at it. You really did it this time. You didn't pull that out of your butt. I was saying that was good stuff right there. That was your work.
That's right.
Some good stuff. I appreciate how much work you put into it, and I do want to say before I get into mine, I would play that game. I would 100% buy and play that game. All right, so it's my turn. My company, and I'm going crazy on this one because I thought of a lot of them, but then I thought of what I really want to see in a Star Wars game. So I did my research. I'm going to give my developer at the end because of that. My project name is Project Starfighter.
Ooh.
Here's what it is. You make a character, okay? You make a character for either the Rebel Alliance or the Empire. Then you play through the games, the original games, as a pilot. You get to unlock ships. You get to modify those ships. And I'm not talking about an arcade shooter. That's been done. Rogue Squadron, stuff like that. No. This is going to be a deep simulation. I want the game to be like the Forza of starship fighting. I want them to
Ooh.
talk to the Star Wars people. I want them to learn how these ships actually work, how they actually fly, and then I want them to simulate that. And I want that to be in the game. So I want the multiplayer not to be like Battlefront's dogfighting, which is fun but very arcadey. I want it to be like the combat flight simulator of Star Wars. You'll move through each story, not just the main battles, but side battles as well. You'll do engagements. You'll capture main points. You'll aid ground troops, and each of your ships, each of your missions will be very different from each other. So it'll have kind of like, it won't be an open world, but it'll have like kind of like a spider webbing kind of mission structure so that you're never kind of not doing something. I want it to have games as service elements. Basically, and what I mean by that is each week, each side would get a mission supplied by the creators, and then you could go do that mission and compare yourself to other people. It would have a deep multiplayer because why wouldn't it? So I'm talking too much now, but that's what it is. Now for the developer, this is kind of crazy, but I knew I wanted to make this game, but I don't know a lot of developers for flying games. So I really had to do some research, and finally I settled on one. Bandai Namco would be my developer. And I know that's totally insane. They're the anime creators, but they also make another franchise that is lesser known but very good, and that is the Ace Combat franchise.
I've never heard of it.
It is. They're up to 7, and they do like it's a little bit more arcadey than I'd want this to be, but it's like modern day jet warfare and stuff like that. So I would want Bandai Namco, of course, with EA's blessing, to create Project Starfighter. So that's mine. So everybody out there, that's the ones. The arena has opened. You get to pick Project Starfighter or Project Bounty Hunter. Both good choices, both interesting. So what do you guys want to see? What would you guys spend your money on? Comment here on this show. You can comment on Facebook. You can tell me personally, and maybe soon I'm going to be doing Twitter for Old Man Gaming. We'll have to see, because I'm a little bit too old for the twits, but we'll see. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you guys for listening, watching. Shameless self-promotions here. Monday, we got the reviews. Wednesday, we've got Borderlands 330. And resident Borderlands 330 expert also does all of his build videos through our channel, so check those out. Then, of course, you can listen to the podcast audio everywhere you listen to podcasts on Thursday, or check it out on YouTube on Friday with timestamps. And I also want to announce, this is a big announcement, I'm pushing this big. This Saturday, the premiere of a new horrible Let's Play show called Led Astray. In this game, Phil Billy, who never plays anything but Borderlands, I take him through 3 different games over the course of 9 episodes, with the 10th being his finale and his choice. He gets to play those games. He gets to see if he likes those games. He gets to broaden his horizons. I tell you why I picked this game. You get to go through it with him. You get to go on this journey with him, and see if he likes it. See if he vetoes him. See if he says, Zach, I never want to do this show again. You're a lunatic. So check that out this Saturday. The premiere episode, The Journey Begins, will be posted sometime this Saturday. So check that out, everybody. And Logan, thanks for being here, buddy. As usual.
Love being here.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you. And as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making this stuff.